I was born into a textile family. All right. My father, my grandfather, and my grandfather's previous PD also, they're all into textile, interestingly. Okay. These are all, you can trace their journey all the way to Amritsar and Lahore and that area. And silk ka kaam karte the ye log. So obviously my dada came to Mumbai 85 years ago. My dada used to live in Japan at one point of time. And um, then obviously during the World War, you know how British India ke karan we were on the Allied forces side, right? So they sent all Indians back from Japan. So my dada came back. He settled in Mumbai, and so you know it's hilarious. All these extended people, they are in some way connected to each other. So in Mumbai, you will see there are a lot of. I'll give you take names of some mills. So start googling these names and you will find them. बहुत बड़ी बड़ी मिलें होती थी एक टाइम पे. ऑर्के सिल्क मिल, ऑर्के सिल्क मिल वर द किंग्स ऑफ होम फर्निशिंग. ठीक है, ये किंग होते थे होम फर्निशिंग के. रिलायंस ने इनकी ठोकी थी बेसिकली. द फेमस पॉलिएस्टर वॉर दैट रिलायंस वाज इन्वॉल्वड इन, एक साइड में ऑर्के थी, एक साइड में रिलायंस धीरूभाई अंबानी ग्रुप थे, वो मेहरा थे. ठीक है. One of my dad's real brother used to be part of that group. He used to work there at a very senior position, probably the senior most position. So then there was a Mehra Mill compound. ये मेहरा मिल कंपाउंड है ना, ये यहाँ पे भांडुप, कांजुरमार्ग, बोरीवली, ये साइड, ये बोरीवली नहीं सॉरी, भांडुप, कांजुरमार्ग, ये साइड में होता था. इस साइड में मेहरा मिल कंपाउंड होता था. एंड वहां पे एक जुगल किशोर मेहरा होते थे, जो जेके सिल्क मिल होती थी, बहुत बड़ा यूनिट पॉलिएस्टर का. वहां पे मेरे दूसरे अंकल काम करते थे. वहां पे ही वाज इन चार्ज ऑफ द डाइंग डिपार्टमेंट. दे वर प्राइमरीली इनटू पॉलिएस्टर डाइंग. सो बोथ माय अदर अंकल्स वर पॉलिएस्टर डाइंग वाले लोग. सो and then my dad, obviously my dad was also there. My dad actually did work in multiple places, and the last job my dad did was 1989, I think. Then he stopped full time. Like he was a consultant. Always he was a consultant from, I think, if I remember, and if dad watches this he might fact check me. um बट मुझे जितना याद है डैडी ने कंसल्टेंसी 1970 से ही शुरू कर दी थी. 80s में तो मुझे पक्का याद है. एक जमाने में डैडी राजा बहादुर मिल में जाते थे पुणे में, मुझे याद है, मैं बहुत छोटा होता था. एंड in fact, when Mr. Pitti had come on the pod, I had told him this story. And dad used to go and consult at that time at the Raja Bahadur Mills. And I told him how I told my father कि अरे अब क्या ये पुणे चले जाते हो. तो then dad, so when I as a chota bacha told dad कि नहीं, I don't like it that you go there, dad stopped consultancy. It was a very good paying consultancy job. Now back when now when I think about it, I'm like मैं कितना बड़ा गधा था, like but you know my father just gave it up like this, like he just dropped it. ठीक है, मैं नहीं जाऊंगा, मेरा बच्चा नहीं जाना चाहता. So that was, my dad did consultancy on and off. My dad's last job was 1989 or 90. I don't remember the exact year. After that, my dad became a full-time entrepreneur. He used to have his business, but that was at a very small scale. Then the business grew too big for him to have a job and business. Then he just became businessman. I joined the textile trade officially in the year 2002 and 3. I came back from Canada. I never went to Canada in initial years to settle there. Went there, studied, came back, and then we started our textile journey with my dad. 2004 I told dad कि अभी ये पुराना वाला काम नहीं करना है, कुछ नया और करते हैं. So we did one more avenue. So that's when we started our first factory. Then by the time I think 2008 में एक और लगाई, 9 में एक और लगाई, और I think 11 12 तक हमने वो सब चलाई. फिर then I got bored and then we started winding down. तो 2004 2 से by the time I think 2020 तक we winded everything. 21 sorry, COVID के बाद भी हमने एक साल चलाया था and we were doing fine. But then it just came to a point that we just shut down. We sold off our machines. We sold off our property, we exited. I think now I don't even own that unit, nothing. We had we had rented out a place, a very giant place in Bhiwandi. That was rented, but we owned one place in IDC there. So that's the story. So my father's specialty was cotton processing, cotton fabric processing, and good. Ajay is also here. Ajay is not on video.
Good, sir.
Hi, so guys, Ajay will not be on video mode because he is on the road. So Ajay, how about this? I was just
Yes.
giving them a brief introduction of family history, nothing work related, nothing
Hmm.
important. But how about
Right.
this? Let's start with first the Bangladesh America textile agreement. Ajay. You explain whatever there is, and I know because you're in a shoddy spot where you can't even use video. So how about this? You take 15-20 minutes, explain everything, and
Sure.
then you can go, and then I will take over the rest of the part.
Perfect. Perfect. So I'll tell you, this is not sort of a textile deal or whatever. It's an actual trade deal between US and Bangladesh. Now, unfortunately, given the political situation in India, they have picked up only what sells, what catches eyeballs to say. Bangladesh has got 0% on garment and India has got 18%. But if you read the fine print, what the US trade deal with Bangladesh says is we will give 0% tariff on certain garments up to a certain quantity, provided you buy US produced cotton. Okay, so you use US cotton and you do garment and send it, it is 0% tariff. It is not that you buy cotton from wherever and you do garment and send how many ever quantity, we will give you 0%. It is not that. It is the reciprocal tariff today that's applicable on Bangladesh is 19% and ours is 18%. But that's not where the strange part ends. One other thing which nobody is talking, including the opposition, when they're discussing this, is the fact that today, if Indian garment exporters use US produced cotton beyond 20% in the product and send it to US, even we get a 0% tariff. It's not that we don't get. And Kushal, you are the expert in this. Buying US cotton and then producing and sending makes us uncompetitive commercially, whatever be the tariff. Now, this is on the textile part. And if you read the US Bangladesh trade agreement in detail, Bangladesh has literally given up a lot of things which are complete red line for us as India. Number one, Bangladesh agreement says any processed food approved for sale by the US authorities can be sold in Bangladesh with no other certification that can be done by Bangladesh. So once US FTA or whoever approves it, it can be sold in Bangladesh. Biotechnology products, they can be sold once approved by US. And hold on to your chair, halal certification. Once a US certified agency certified it as halal certified, Bangladesh can't apply any further rules. They have to treat it as halal certified and sell it in Bangladesh. A lot of the Islamic countries today are applying their own halal certification because it is very important for them, and being respectful to their religious practices, they apply their own standards which they think they need to. Bangladesh has given up that right also. We have put a absolute strict deadline that we will not permit GMO, genetically modified food product, processed food. We don't even want to get dairy products because we're not sure of what the cows are fed in the US. And I'm sort of making it very light. But we've said we will not accept any of this. Bangladesh has completely given up all of those things. They have also given up right to levy digital tax on US digital services companies. They have given up the right to impose data localization. So the agreement actually says data can be freely moved between US and Bangladesh, which really means Bangladeshi data can be stored in US. Please remember, India has very strict data localization rules today for payment processes. A Visa, MasterCard can't keep, Kushal, the payment data of you and me using Visa card, MasterCard anywhere outside India today. In fact, the rule says if they process it outside within 24 hours, they have to delete it there and bring it into India and store it on a server in India. And they are complying with it. We are in the process of getting in rules for data localization, even for social media companies. So therefore, even the data localization is a very, very big red line for us. Our government, rightly so in my view, has not been yielding or budging on that, though US has been pushing. That's something they've given up again. There are multiple other certifications, right to certify, etc., that Bangladesh has given up, which nobody's talking about. Therefore, if you've given up all that and got a 18% plus a conditional 0% on textile, I don't think it's a win that people are making it out to be. If we were to give up all that, we would have got a trade deal 6 months ago. We didn't need to wait this long. We didn't even need to give credit to the US administration for Operation Sindoor. Nothing had to be done. We could have given up agriculture. We could have given up all of this and got a trade deal, which we have not done. Therefore, today, when there is a context in which you have to see the Bangladesh trade deal, you have to consider all these aspects, without which you can't compare on one line item and say, they are at 0% on textile, which also is a wrong reading. And that sort of is the most important point.
So I'll just add 2-3 points of context over here. So in this entire process, right, people were making sweeping analysis. So you mentioned that bit where if you import yarn, basically American
Right.
spun yarn, and it primarily,
Correct.
it boils down to basically the crop. What kind of a crop does America grow? What kind of a crop does India grow? So cotton is available in multiple places. For those who don't know, like it's available in Pakistan also. And I mean, it might hurt. I think Pakistani cotton quality is also pretty decent in that sense. So India grows it, Pakistan grows it. India grows a lot of BT cotton now. Since 2008 onwards, we have moved to BT cotton. America is what usually we used to call it in our trade, Pima cotton. Egyptians also have very high grade cotton, which is called Giza cotton. Then obviously Africa has cotton, Brazil has tons of cotton, and different places of the world source it from different places. India has historically followed this trend where India controls its export of cotton. So they try to maintain a certain price per quintal of the cotton crop. So what they do is, every time they see the price dropping a lot, they start exporting. They allow exports. So then वो क्योंकि order बाहर का आता है, so they manage the price. And even the imports are managed accordingly. So till now that the Americans have said कि भाई आप हमारा cotton लोगे. So, and I'll get to the bit where the Americans are demanding what they are demanding. Now, historically we would control our imports also, because it was always about the price. We wanted to maintain a
Right.
price in the market, and people might think it is for the farmer. No, it is actually for the merchant. So now here people might have to understand like the entire process. Like crop is spun, uske yarn ke gole bante hain, then the yarn ka gola is converted, sent to a weaving unit where the weaving is done and the gray fabric is made. The fabric, and guys, I'm very sorry, but अभी मैं आप लोगों को कुछ फोटोज दिखाने वाला हूँ, लाइक ग्रे फैब्रिक क्या होता है, कैसा होता है, क्यों, क्या मतलब, हाउ डज फैब्रिक कम बिफोर डाइंग जो होता है ना, फैब्रिक कैसा होता है वो आपको समझना पड़ेगा. लाइक क्यों होता है, क्या होता है, कि वो जब कॉटन फैब्रिक जब आपका लूम से आता है एक्स फैक्ट्री करके, that's what I'm going to show you. I'm just showing you random images, okay? So this is how fabric used to come into my factory too. It came in my factory too, like this form. So I'm just showing it so that you guys have a benefit. This, you see this? This is how fabric comes into even in my farm, my factory. This is what it is. You guys see this? Just rolls and rolls and rolls. This is how fabric comes. So this is, I'm assuming it is 100% cotton fabric. It comes into a factory just like mine or some other factory it used to come. This fabric, now these people who, this is the weaving stage, okay guys? This is the weaving stage. यहां पे कंप्लेंट आती थी, यान ऊपर नीचे हो गया. सो अज्यूम दोज पीपल हु ओन दोज रोल्स, दे आर सेलिंग इट इन द मार्केट टू पीपल लाइक मी. ये जो रोल्स होते हैं ना, मेरे जैसी फैक्ट्रियों में आते थे, वेयर आई वुड परचेज दिस फैब्रिक एंड सेल इट टू अ होलसेलर ऑफ फैब्रिक, और आई वुड get the fabric as a job work, and I would charge, let's say you are my merchant, you would send your purchase, that fabric that I showed you, you would send it to me, and I would charge you X rupees a meter, and I will send it back to you. So those people were very much interested in controlling the gray price. We used to call this gray fabric. They were very much interested in controlling the price. So a lot of import and export. So I clearly remember people, let's say you bought a hypothetical quality X. Let's say you bought 40s poplin. वो एक हम लोग के इसमें होती थी, एक शर्ट्स में बहुत यूज होती है, वो शर्ट्स में आप यूज करते हो, काफी शर्ट्स में यूज होती है. या 60s by 60s केमरिक बोलते हैं, वो थोड़ी हल्की होती है, वो लेडीज गारमेंट्स में ज्यादा होती है. जेंट्स की शर्ट्स में पॉपलिन यूज होती है, थोड़ी जाड़ी होती है. अगर समझ लो आपने, यू हैव परचेज 100,000 मीटर्स ऑफ दैट, यू आर अ ट्रेडर, ठीक है, आपका ऑर्डर आया है. You placed that 100,000 meter when yarn was at X rate, and then by the time your order comes out, the yarn rate crashes. So that 100,000 meters that you ordered is like 4-5 meters a meter extra. You're doomed. You're doomed, because the margin in textile is razor thin. Razor thin margin पे काम होता है. That's why it was these merchants who would always go after the governments. And that's why the government, to manage that, used to maintain this crop import export, yarn import export, so that the fluctuation doesn't kill the market. That's what. And a lot of times, a lot of these spinning mills would hoard, because let's say if I am Reliance or all these big companies that sell cotton yarn or polyester yarn, my capacity is, let's say, 100,000. If I dump that 100,000 at one point of time, the prices might come down. Mera cost se kam pe mere ko bechna padega. That kind of a scenario. So all of this is controlled. So I hope you also get it, Ajay, ki the reason these things are happening are because it is not just for the farmer. It is actually at times also for the businessman. It is for the businessman and the farmer. So these qualities that
That's
come,
right.
so these qualities that come from America, right? Like the American cotton is slightly better, I would say significantly better quality than what we have in India, but it's very expensive. So now to process that cotton, would come in a company like mine, and that cotton would, get processed in a company like mine. I'll show you what kind of machines are used. ठीक है, I'm going to show you कैसे वो मशीन में डाइंग होता है, क्या होता है. So this is a standard. I'm going to show you what a standard machine is. It's like open width dyeing ऐसे होती है. Open width dyeing, इसको जिगर बोलते हैं, JIGGER. ये मेरी फैक्ट्री में ऐसे होता था. ठीक है, I'm not showing you the loom bit, I'm showing you my company's bit. Weaving is done on looms. I was a dyeing guy. So these are the kinds of machines. You see these open width fabrics, that same roll goes here. It goes from here to here, back here. It is like back and forth, and this is like a water trough, and iske andar se wo pass hota tha. Then later on you can add color to it, and you color it accordingly. You can do white or whatever color combinations, aur isme options hote the. You can have a closed one. So what happens is cotton can be dyed at two temperatures, right? 60 degrees and 90 degrees. So if you wanted to do 90 degrees dyeing, जिसमें वो HE dyes बोलते थे और एक ME dyes बोलते थे. HE dyes में हायर टेम्परेचर लगता था, उनकी लाइट फास्टनेस, रबिंग फास्टनेस, ये सब बेटर होती थी. सो उसके लिए ये क्लोज्ड मशीन्स लगती थी, इसको हम क्लोज जिगर बोलते थे. नाउ आयरनी, यू विल बी लाइक ये साला क्लोज है तो ये खुला क्यों है? क्योंकि उसमें कंडेंसेशन से वाटर ड्रॉपलेट्स होता था, डाइंग में बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती थी. 99% लोग क्लोज जिगर को ओपन कर देते थे और एमई डाइज में डाइंग करते थे. HE डाइज में करते ही नहीं थे. So this is one of those machines जिसमें डाइंग होती है. Then obviously इसके पहले एक और मशीन होती है जो हार्ट होती है एक कॉटन यूनिट की, and this is very expensive. It is called a mercerizing machine. So mercerizing machine is the heart of any unit. All right. Mercerizing machine सबसे important होती है किसी भी यूनिट में, और it is like 150 feet long. Even मेरी मशीन भी 150-200 feet लंबी ही होती थी. ऐसी होती है ये मशीन, as you can see. So what it does is your fabric passes through this and there is a ton of caustic in it. ये जो आप ये देख रहे हो ये चीजें, इनमें caustic होता है, इसके अंदर caustic होता है, और बाद में आगे जाकर वो caustic में एक certain time में certain amount of seconds होते हैं, the caustic has to dip in it. So the fabric goes for a certain amount of seconds, it dips itself into that caustic alkali mein, basically in alkali, and it creates an exothermic reaction. So the basic nature of the yarn changes. Like if you look at it under a microscope, you will see the nature of the fabric changes and it creates a natural sheen. इसमें भी अगर if you have ever bought a t-shirt, उसमें double mercerized लिखा होता है कभी कभी. Those very shiny 100% cotton t-shirts that you've bought, those go through this twice. Those are double mercerized. They really have like a permanent shine on it. वो होती है. This process, ये process के बाद हम जिगर में डालते हैं, और फिर फाइनल जब प्रोसेस होने के बाद द मेन हार्ट ऑफ एनी टेक्सटाइल यूनिट, द मेन हार्ट ऑफ एनी टेक्सटाइल यूनिट इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड अ स्टेंटर. अभी इसका वीडियो आई डोंट नो इफ फ्रिकिन ब्रुकनर विल strike me. If they strike me, I will remove this bit from the video. But it's worth it. This is an foreign company. मैंने नहीं ये खरीदी थी. I was actually a big supporter of buying Indian. So my company was Indian. So this is where the final stage happened. This is a Bruckner Stenter. So this machine, basically a person is standing here, a fabric goes through here, and it passes through these hot chambers. These are called chambers. Fabric goes from here. And you can set your width of the fabric from here. You see the fabric is fed over here. It's lit. There is a human being standing over here. इन्होंने नहीं दिखाया. ऐसी कोई मशीन नहीं होती जिसमें human नहीं होता. I can guarantee you humans are always there because they need to guide the fabric. और वो इसमें से जाता है whether you want 36 inches right up to 100 plus inches, depending whether you have a wider width. Usually मतलब मेरी फैक्ट्री में हम लोग we used to do 72 inches and it would go and come out on the other side in a trolley. Similarly, ये final होने के बाद, this is also not the final process. इसके बाद we call what a process is called. Different mechanical finishes are given. One of the most popular machines that are used in textile is called a textile calendar machine. Basically, what it is right, there is a cotton ball and there is a steel ball. Now उसमें ये जो मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ ये 2 cotton ball है, ये 2 ball machine है. But as you see over here, right, इसमें fabric ऐसे जाएगा, आप देख रहे हो, ये और ये निकलेगा, ये fabric जा रहा है और निकल रहा है. Now here the thing is, this roll, this cotton roll can be polyimide also. So what usually people do is they put 2 cotton, then they add 1 more polyimide on top. You can have a 5 ball cotton roll, a 3 ball cotton roll, you can have a 7 ball cotton roll. It depends on what kind of production capacity you're looking at. Most people used to have a 3 or a 5. I used to have 1 3 machine. I actually had 2 machines, 3. So this, and then there is another machine that is used for certain other qualities that is like a steaming, you can say एक बहुत बड़ी steaming machine थी. वो बेसिकली कैसा होता था, एक फैब्रिक का रैप होता था और वो फैब्रिक रैप के अंदर आपको उसको भरना होता था. एंड मैं ये आदमी की मशीन खरीदी हुई है, तो ये आदमी तो मुझे कॉपीराइट स्ट्राइक नहीं देगा. कर भाई भूल गए होगे तो याद रखना भाई, कुशल भाई वीडियो दिखा रहा है तुम्हारा. सो दिस इज अ डेकोडाइजिंग मशीन. दिस इज अ मशीन, ये फैब्रिक है बेसिकली. इस वहां से फैब्रिक फिल हो रहा है. यू कैन हैव अप टू 1000 मीटर्स फेड इन दिस. ऐसे स्टीम जाती है, ऊपर तक पूरी स्टीम जाती है, इस्त्री होती है कपड़े की, एंड देन इट कम्स. I used to have literally this machine, this manufacturer's machine. He's an Indian guy. उसके सेठ का नाम भी करकर भाई है, हम लोग उसको करकर भाई बोलते थे. ही इज फ्रॉम गुजरात एंड इट कम्स आउट ऑन दिस साइड. सो लॉट ऑफ पॉलिएस्टर क्वालिटीज उनको ये किया जाता है. That's the entire process. उसके बाद fabric used to be checked. I mean, there is a peach finish where you kind of get one side is very soft, the other side is not. But pretty much this, then the fabric goes to the merchant. The merchant sells it to a garmenter who cuts it, stitches it. Then it goes into the garment washing laundry, commercial laundries, industrial laundries, giant industrial laundries. From there, it comes back, packs, and then it finally goes. So this is the long story short. This is how the fabric goes. This is the journey of the fabric. Now we come back to the yarn. The American yarn is used in very high-end fabric. So this so-called thing, right, that Bangladesh, because they buy fabric from, let's say, the Americans. Bangladesh ka agar, if you look at Bangladeshi imports of cotton yarn, they have replaced India not with the Americans. They have replaced India with Brazilians because price point matching unko karni thi. Because you can't buy American yarn, because let's say you have a Walmart or all these price sensitive American buyers, right, who sell it to masses. जो $10 में गारमेंट बेच रहा है, $15 में गारमेंट बेच रहा है, बॉस, they can't afford American cotton. They can't. Just can't. Please try and understand. American cotton is very expensive. And what happens is, when in my factory, when I used to have to do this, like the customer used to write, ये वाला cotton है, Pima cotton का माल है, सेठ इसमें अलग chemical use करना. We used to have separate chemical for Pima cotton, for Giza cotton. Normal chemicals can't be used on that. So महंगे वाले chemical use करने पड़ते थे. So let's say my processing cost, hypothetical, was 5 rupees a meter for regular Indian cotton. For Pima, it was 7 rupees a meter. For Giza, it was 10 rupees a meter. These costs increase. So for these geniuses on social media to talk about input cost, तो बढ़ती ही नहीं है जी. पागल लोग हैं क्या? It doesn't have. I hope, Ajay, you also understood what I was explaining, and I hope it was not boring. So that's the whole.
Absolutely not. It was very clear.
So, all this talk about whether Americans will, whether we can compete with the Bangladeshis is a very different subject. We are not competing with. See, we also have high-end garment manufacturing. The Bangladeshis also have high-end garment manufacturing. Now, the competition question, whether these people should have raised, is not about, oh, they got access to American yarn, and American yarn, when resold, will be zero tariff. Baba, that, if I'm not mistaken, Ajay, even Indians have it, right?
Yes, we do. And anything more than 20% we use, we get the same thing. Now tell me something, Kushal, you've run a factory like this. If you were to use this, how will you prove that cotton to garment is American cotton? Somebody has to come and verify. Somebody has to do some test check. And where are all these people who were shouting sovereignty for us when when US just said we will ensure that there is no Russian oil buy, and these people said you've completely given up your sovereign right, this, that. Now, what happens? How will somebody come and check? If your factory, you were to claim that this is US grown raw material that I'm using and I'm exporting, what is the process to check that?
You can't.
Somebody has to have some certification, which means US has to have some certification. Something has to be done. Basic, right?
You can't. So, a lot of these so-called quality checks, Ajay, and I'm not trying to typecast everyone before somebody misunderstands me. Please don't. There were some very good people that I've worked with in my life, and I've had the absolute honor and pleasure of working with very big brands. You name the brand, I've worked with them, like indirectly and directly, both. Giant buying houses, giant suppliers, सबके साथ भाई काम किया, घाट का पानी पिया है मैंने. I have been to a lot of fairs. I've been to a lot of places. Like, my family is well known in this trade, and it was not easy to leave the trade. I was very passionate about it. So all this was, Ajay, is usually done by buying agencies. You know who buying agencies are,
Hmm.
and merchandisers, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So बहुत 4 आने मीटर पे बिक जाते हैं लोग. I'm just saying the quiet part out loud. So you know what the tragedy is, Ajay? I have seen garment orders, huh? So what they would do, garment orders,
Hmm.
not with high-end brands, huh? Always remember, especially in America, this happens the most. So, you know, because the entire thing was American access, India has become non-competitive. Well, this is how America mein garments go a lot of times. So let's say the order is of 50,000 pieces. You think all 50,000 pieces are tested, ladies and gentlemen? No, they're not. All 50,000 pieces are not tested. लैब में तो वो 10,000 पीस 10,000 पीस भी नहीं, 500 पीस भी नहीं जाते हैं. सो वो पीस बेस्ट बनते हैं. बाद में क्या जाता है किसको क्या मालूम. You don't know.
Which is why the reject happens, and we see those export reject thing.
So it's just, you know, to see people, you know, just talking about like stuff where they don't understand that the one thing that the Americans have given the Bangladeshis access to, Bangladeshis can't sell it. It at that price point. Boss, you think Walmart is going to take Pima and sell Pima? Has anybody gone to a Walmart in America and checked the price of a garment and then done the backward integration of how much it costs to make a garment? एक बॉस क्या मतलब क्या बात करते हैं लोग. It see, the problem is clearly people have never run a business. Clearly people have never run a business. And what happens is when people who don't run a business, they start talking about these things, right? They sound very confident because on social media everybody sounds very confident. But then if you start poking them and prodding them and asking them questions about, okay, अच्छा इसका per meter cost बताओ, उसका per meter cost बताओ, यहाँ से वहां जाने का logistics cost बताओ. Now where Bangladesh scored over us, see, there are 2-3 reasons in my opinion, Ajay. Point number 1, the biggest reason Bangladesh scored over us is because we as a foreign policy led them. Because we thought we did not want one more front, so let them have financial prosperity till a certain extent. Sheikh Hasina was in power, we had a good time, we let them prosper. Boss, their entire electricity goes from India, boss. Like, are people crazy? Adani gives them electricity, boss. Imagine if Adani just says, Batti Band. What will they do? That is point number 1. It was a geostrategic investment of India, letting textiles prosper there. Now you want to, this is not BJP. These decisions are taken by successive governments right from the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee to Manmohan Singh, who agreed in this policy, to Narendra Modi, who agreed with this policy. It was a geostrategic discussion. Second, you know, a lot of times people say, oh, labor in Bangladesh is cheaper than India. I think labor as a cost can be managed. I'll tell you where the biggest problem for India is coming. One of the biggest problems for India, where India has become grossly non-competitive, and look at the entire political class of India in the opposition, they are not pushing the government on this, is the electricity cost in India is disgustingly high for an average Indian industrialist that runs a factory. Because we give electricity free to this, that, and that, somebody has to pay the bill. And that bill, ladies and gentlemen, in India is paid by factories like mine when I used to run them. The average unit cost, जब हम हमारा बिल गणित करते थे ना, इतना लाख का बिल आया, इतना 1000 यूनिट या इतना लाख यूनिट हुआ, our cost used to run into 9 rupees a unit at times. Ajay, 9 rupees a unit. That terrible a cost. So that cost is where Bangladesh scores over us. That is one big difference. Baki, people don't even know that technicians from India go and work in Bangladesh. They don't even have high-end technicians in textiles. Abhi hai thode, but high-end technicians आज भी Indians है उधर. उनकी textile auxiliaries, उनकी textile dye stuff, a lot of it still comes from India. Now there they can replace it easily from China. That I'm willing to accept. Electricity they cannot.
And also, Kushal, from what I understand, I don't understand the sector as well as you do, but I have read that they are sort of into only plain vanilla basic garment, not medical garment, not technical garment, etc. Where we are still today on top, and what they do is really basic. Is that true?
See, they are making some high-end garments. They have also started making, but here's the thing that is a problem for us and Bangladesh both. Now it is a problem and an advantage. Bangladesh, on the other hand, I think has gone into the quantity manufacturing model. So what happens is that, let's say you have 100,000 meter, one single color order. You will never come to India. You will never come to India. And let me again take you back for that. Now, the reasons for that are simple. I'll tell you. The reasons for that is the machine that I showed you, that jigger dyeing machine. You remember that roll? Idhar se idhar, idhar se idhar. It has a quantity problem. It has a quantity problem. Now, what these Chinese and all these other people, right? Their factories, now they don't have those jigger machines. What they have is what we call a continuous dyeing range. So this is what the Chinese and all these Bangladeshi big mills who do this, right? This is a continuous dyeing range. You see, fabric is fed here. Okay. It is fed here, set here. As you can see, a human being is still manning it. It is dyed here. The color is set here. And look how it comes out. That is gray. Malab, that was ready for dyeing. It is called RFD. Ready for dyeing fabric. This is not gray. इसके सारे enzymes, waxes, सब निकाल दिए गए हैं. This is scoured, washed. And look, it's dyed here, then it's dried there. So you might see the color is slightly different here, but when it goes inside, then it gets developed. The color gets developed. So they are giving it air because it needs time to air. You remember that rolling machine? It gets dipped, lifted up. So that also is airing time because color needs time to air. वो airing हो रही है. Either they are creating it like this. But the difference is in that jigger machine, I can put in, let's say, if I am using a quality of 10 kgs, that means 10 kgs, 100 meter. All right. I can put maybe up to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 meters. Uske baad na, we used to call it the tailing effect. After a while, now the color starts diluting in those machines. So we were very good in India in short quantities. But these Chinese, right, they are very good in big quantities. Big quantities. Where they had these machines. Now you might come back to me and say, well, Indians can also put it. Yes, Indians can put it. And many Indians have started putting it. And now many Indians are also taking these 1 lakh meters, one color order. But historically, India and Indian textile was very good at what I'll tell you. If let's say an Indian would come, let's say an export order comes, like especially Europeans like India for that. So a European would come to India and say, I have 25,000 meters. You give me 5 colors. Indian will do that. Indian will get some extra rupee because quantities are less. Indians can charge more. Indians like to make more profit. Chinese don't make high profits. They make high volume, crazy volumes. Bangladesh went into that model. That's the difference. So there are so many permutation combinations. Like when it comes to short lengths, short capacities, even in printing, आपको 500 मीटर एक डिजाइन का चाहिए, आपको 1000 मीटर एक डिजाइन का चाहिए. Do you know where you can only come at scale in this entire planet Earth? It is only India. हम 500 मीटर भी छाप देंगे बेशरम के जैसे. हम कुछ भी कर देंगे. हम आज भी करने को तैयार हैं. So every country has its speciality, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't mean we cannot have both models. I feel India's biggest mistake was that we did not go to this Chinese model in some way or the other. We need the MSME sector like mine. You know, I was a medium scale mill, like big units. They do long runs like 20,000 meters one design, 50,000 meters one design, 100,000 meters one design in printing. But लाइक स्मॉल मिल्स, अब ये देखो, ये बंदा ये हंस रहा है, ये क्यों है? ये प्रिंटिंग मशीन वाला है, इसको एग्जैक्टली मालूम है मैं क्या बोल रहा हूं। ये शंकरा 3487 को इसको एग्जैक्टली पता है मैं क्या बोल रहा हूं, क्योंकि ये वही करता है और ये एग्जैक्टली समझ रहा है मैं क्या बोल रहा हूं, क्योंकि उसमें मार्जिन मिलता है। कि मेरे पास कोई आया, उसने मुझे बोला यार 500 मीटर छापेगा क्या? मैं उसको बोलूंगा सेठ इतना रुपया मीटर लगेगा, क्वांटिटी कम है तुम्हारा, क्योंकि उसको वो स्टेंसिल बनानी पड़ेगी, स्लेट बनानी पड़ेगी प्रिंटिंग की। मेरी प्रिंटिंग मिल नहीं थी, मैं जस्ट एक सुपरफिशियल लेवल पे बात कर रहा हूं। ये जो शंकरा के काम का है, वो एक पूरा एक जगह थी, वो बनाना पड़ता है, ड्राइंग करके उसको सेट करना पड़ता है वो डिजाइन को छापने के लिए, और फिर वो डिजाइन बाद में चले नहीं चले मालूम नहीं होता ना। आपकी तो इन्वेस्टमेंट हो गई उसके ऊपर, ये बेचारे बंदे की, इसकी तो इन्वेस्टमेंट हो गई, तो वो उतना रेट एक्स्ट्रा लेते थे। ये वाली गेम होती है। सो you know, to compare Bangladesh with India, first of all, is also not fair. You know, these are different industries, different realities. Those are the things that you have to understand. So, you know, when people say, oh, we are doomed, Baba, the yarn itself that was coming from America is not used. Please try to understand. You can't use that yarn and sell to Walmart. I can guarantee you, even Walmart will not freaking buy that order. Walmart, you know what Walmart will get? You will go and tell Walmart, land of the free, home of the brave, I'm going to use American yarn. Walmart भी बोलेगा चुप हो जा चूतिया, इंडियन yarn यूज कर चुपचाप, या ब्राजीलियन यूज कर और मेरे को सस्ता बना के दे, गांडू। That is the reality. So everybody who was like fretting over this, I was like, कर क्या रहे हैं इन्होंने? कभी जिंदगी में एक मीटर छापा नहीं होगा सालों ने। कुछ भी बोलते हैं, कुछ भी बोलते हैं, बेवकूफ बनाते हैं, मासेस को जाके बेवकूफ बनाते हैं। ये मेरा फैक्ट्री का वर्कर सुन रहा होगा तो कितना हंसेगा, बोलेगा ये क्या है, क्या बोल रहा है। That is the problem. There is no competition.